Welcome to today's session. Wel- Welcome to today's session whereby we will be discussing partnership for the protection and conservation of Mother Nature in Africa. And we have our speakers who are in Simeon Oleku, Timothy Emmanuel, who is joining us from Nigeria, and Rachel joining us from Kenya, and Yvonne Ambani joining us from Kenya. If I can just maybe talk a little bit about Global Youth Forum and Ordinary Voices, is that Global Youth Forum will mainly deal with eradicating poverty in Africa, mainly starting from Kenya, by equipping youth with skills to start a job or get one. And at Ordinary Voices, we always come here at the last Sunday of each month to discuss some of the issues, some of the grassroots issues, mainly based on the SDGs. And in today's session, we will be discussing mainly on climate action and conservation in Africa as a whole. Like, for example, if you can tell someone from like 1980s, from maybe remote communities like the Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania, they are going to tell you like they used to coexist with the wild animals, and now I think it's really hard. Their conservation efforts from outside the world, and like they're coming to redefine conservation in Africa, and we will mainly be discussing on that. And to start the session, I will let Oleku to start by, like in one sentence, introduce yourself by sharing your name, what you do, the SDG you are most passionate about, the change you want to see in the world, and one skill you believe each young person or a leader should have. And the
Am I
guest,
supposed to write in the chat, or where do or I have to speak on that about
yeah,
that?
yeah, you have to speak and turn on your camera.
All right, I don't know if you can get to see me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, well, so my name is Simeon Oleku, as you've heard, and I just want you to give me the outline of what you wanted me to say, because I've just never didn't note it right here. So I just want you to give me the outline, because it was a long sentence.
Okay. Okay, like you do a quick introduction about yourself, the SDG you're most passionate about, the change you want to see in the world, and one skill you believe each person or a leader should have.
All right, that's great. My name is Simeon Oleku. From here in Kenya, I'm a youth climate champion for Child Fund International. Uh, I'm also an Kenyatta University alumni. I pursued a bachelor's course in community resource management, and also an alumni of the Nairobi Summer School on Climate Justice. Well, I have worked severally within different organizations, especially child-focused organizations, uh, working with children to help them become environmental stewards and enable them to become the future stewards to conserve nature and protect our Mother Earth. And so, well, I'm also serving as the in the Kenya Forest Working Group, and also again I'm serving as a member in the technical working group to for the First Lady Mazingira Awards. So we are the ones who are helping to design education tools and the engagement for schools on issues to do with climate action and environment nationally here in Kenya. And so, well, the SDG that I'm most passionate about is SDG 13, which is climate action. And I'm right there, so much passionate, and I'm really working toward addressing the changes and the crisis itself happening within our local communities here in Kenya. And right there, working with Child Fund Kenya. And so, one skill that I believe or I think that leaders should have is a skill about social intelligence. I don't know how many leaders have social intelligence, because when you get to have such skill, it helps you to understand different people in different ways, and you get to empathize and be able to respect with a lot of integrity and approach everyone with a lot of integrity. And it helps you to understand even uh, how communities are facing the challenges of climate change. And it will also help you to gain knowledge on how to approach the issues that they are facing. And so that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Simeon is on climate action. Let's see from Timothy Emmanuel.
All right, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Timothy Emmanuel from Nigeria. I'm a coach and a leader with Young Entrepreneurs. And of course, I'm an operational lead in the Red Start Limited here in Lagos, Island. I have worked with different organizations over the years with in terms of agricultural value.
I think Timothy has some internet issues, and you can turn off your camera and
Hello, can you
continue.
hear?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Timothy Emmanuel from Nigeria. I'm a coach and a leader with Young Young Entrepreneurship Alliance, YEA USA, and also an operations lead in Vestac Limited here in Lagos Island. I've worked with different organizations to see how we can create a sustainable agricultural practice across Nigeria. We've done a lot in terms of access to finance and access to markets for agricultural farmers in Nigeria. We've done a lot in that space, and also to one of the SDGs I'm passionate about is SDG 1, which is no poverty. For me, the change that I want to see across the world is to see how we can eradicate poverty in the world through the use of agriculture by empowering farmers to scale up their agricultural production and get a profitable venture for them in terms of their production practice. And of course, one of the best skills I feel a youth should actually gain in sense of to become a good leader is for me, I feel a technical and a technological skills that can be translated to employable skill. Because every young person that have a technological skill can really translate that to an employable skill. These days, AI is actually taking over the whole. working space, and every young person needs to be fully involved in AI, and of course gets to know a lot of technicalities that have to do with that, and leverage on that as an advantage to see how they can really empower themselves to become more useful in the workspace. Thank you very much. Yeah, Millicent, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yvonne, you can go next.
Oh, hey everyone. Hey.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Yvonne Ambani, a student at Kenyatta University, currently pursuing Bachelor of Studies in Environmental and Community Development. I'm the Kenya Hub lead at Youth Climate Collaborative. Youth Climate Collaborative is an international organization that focuses on climate action and empower youth below the age of 35 to share their ideas and support them where we can. Currently, I'm working on a project that's Play Green Goals, an initiative using sports to drive youth climate action across community. So far, we've done 3 tournaments in the western side of Kenya. That's Bungoma, Kitale, Bungoma, and Kakamega. I'm planning one in Kericho and another one in Nairobi. So I'm passionate about SDG 13, that's climate action. The one change I want to see in the world is a shift from environmental awareness to environmental accountability. And I believe in every young leader must cultivate a skill of strategic empathy. I mean, the ability to understand others deeply and turn that insight into meaningful inclusion action, Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much, Han, and sorry, Yvonne. And next, Han, you can go on.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. No, thank you. As I said before, my name is Anne Rachel Myra, and Myra is a gender development scholar. The founder of the Green Embassy Kenya. That is a non-profit youth and student-led organization that is keen on climate action while integrating gender equality. So the SDG that I'm so much keen on, I can say, is the climate action, that is SDG 13, but then bringing the gender aspect of it. And I'm so keen on bringing the gender aspect because when we are facing the adverse challenges or the adverse effects of climate action, we have to agree that one gender bears it more than the other. Like, let me say, for example, we are talking about the side effects that are caused by pesticides or excessive use of pesticides in the farms. It is notable to see that. Oh, you want me to turn on my camera? Oh my God, I'm in darkness, but that's okay. Here you go. So I can say that I'm so keen on bringing the gender aspect in climate action because, as I was saying, an example in farming, because you see that farmers, but when we're doing farming, women put in a lot of the work. That is during planting, during harvesting, like all the processes from farming from the planting season up to the harvesting. But then when it reaches the benefit, that one does not now aiwausu sasa. But then they are the ones who get affected through all of this process. And that could be maybe they're using excessive pesticides, or maybe they're using I don't know, maybe watu wanaweza kuwa wanalima. I like to mix my English and Swahili. We could be tuko tunalima, but then there's a scorching sun, it's always the women that are outside there facing the adverse effects of climate change. So that's why I'm trying to bridge in the gap of climate action and gender equity. And currently I'm working on a project with Respira Africa. Respira Africa is an organization that is keen on air quality monitoring in urban areas. So currently we are working in Nakuru, in urban areas that are the slums especially the areas in the slums. So we are collecting that data, and then we are bringing it in the policy recommendations to see what we can do to bring change, or what we can do to help people who are living in those situations that are affected by poor quality of air. So aside from that, I don't know if we are answering all the questions at once, just to be sure.
No, that's okay. No.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. And for the next discussion question, let's just maybe take a maximum of 1 minute to answer. And I will start with Emmanuel. Tell us who truly benefits from international conservation partnerships in Africa. Is it the local communities or foreign organizations?
All right, thank you very much. For me, I fully believe that the international bodies, actually, the international organization, believe benefit more. And why do I say they benefit more? Because the local communities have little or more um, little or more ideas, or probably a say in terms of decision making and policy reforms. Most of the international organizations come under the canopy of saying that they are bringing a lot of international intervention in terms of funding to see how they can translate that into the local development in those communities. And for me, I feel it is actually overwhelming for the local community. So most often times, the international organizations benefit more because the local communities don't really have what we talk about. They actually make them to be stakeholders instead of them to be right holders of those those lands. And of course the partnership is always more focused, more with more intention from the international body. So it's more or less of benefits to the international communities than the local communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel is saying that it's the international organization that benefits through the decision-making processes. And let's hear the same from Simeon Oleku. Oleku, you can.
All right, thank you very much. So what I believe is that sorry, can you get to hear me? My network is not well right here.
Yes, yes.
All right. So what I believe is that communities are the ones to lead the change. The change can never happen in New York from the global UN headquarters. It can never happen in the big cities. It can never happen with big conferences. The change comes from the very grassroots people, the people who are the ones in the ground, the local communities. They are the ones who have the idea on how to address their own issues. I think this has been a quite evident approach that has been proven and tested to be a very right way to address the social issues that we undergo within our society, including including in nature protection and climate change. And so when you get to look to many researches, the solutions always come from the very local communities, from the people who are experiencing the problems. And so that is for me, that is my idea about that.
Thank you so much for that. And we can hear the same from Han.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. And I know we have different opinions, but according to me, people who truly benefit from international conservation partnerships in Africa are more often than not the foreign organizations, hear me out. While international conservation partnerships, they always promise support, but then more often than not, it's always the foreign organizations that benefit. So it's like Africa, we are being used as the source of data. That we are being used as a source of data collection. Like you hear that phrase that is common, that you are always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. They siphon the data from us, they siphon the resources from us, but then we are not involved in the decision making. And as we all know that decision making informs every other aspect of maybe of a notable action or a notable outcome. So by the time that they only come and siphon the data from us, but then they don't do anything that benefit us in the long term. Like Africa is just being used for the goodness, like, because it is so obvious. Sorry, it is so obvious that people are using the name of Africa to siphon funds. So my stand remains that in as much as we want as the local organizations or as the local African communities to be involved, but the fact remains that the international organizations benefit more from the conservation partnerships than us, the Africans who need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you have raised a good point on being used as a source of data and resources. That's a good point. Yvonne, you can go on the same.
Oh, well, I think I also agree with Myra, because while international partnership brings vital resources, technical expertise, and visibility, the structure of most partnership continues to center the foreign organization, like in both funding, like flows. Before an African is given a chance, most of it goes to the international organizations. This often reduces the local decision making. It reduces community to implement, like reduces the local communities to implementers or stakeholders, beneficiary, rather than equal stakeholders. For real progress, I think this is my opinion about real progress, partnership must shift towards co-creation, where African organizations lead the process, set priorities, and have access to the resources and platforms they need. Without equity, even the well-funded conversations, projects, anything you're doing, even if it's well-funded, without equity, the risk of it being short-lived or being cut without like implementing the main reason why we are having that project continues, and that shifts our focus from real needs of the community that they aim to support.
Thank you so much for that. And for our participants, you can just tell us who truly benefits. Just you can tell us if it's no explanation. Tell us, is it the communities or is it the foreign organizations? Godwin?
Yes, I'm
Who
here.
yeah, you can contribute.
Yeah, sure. I can. My take is that partnership for achievement of anything is key, because, as I said earlier, nobody can do anything alone. That one is proven and done. So as much as we can engage every stakeholder in policy making, as my fellow colleagues have said, that one is a go, because it has been said that we are a source of data and resource, but we are not engaged in policy making, because they see that we are in the bottom level of the cycle. We have got the least percentage in knowledge. That's what people think. But when Mother Nature comes into play, when Africa is concerned, you will find that we tend to be more natural in all the continents. When it comes to nature, you'll find that Kenya will be known in terms of safari, and will be in the center of the whole continent. That means that we shall share things that Nigerians also have, especially when we are in the context of being Africans, when white people are involved. That I'm trying to say, that being let me call ourselves black, because that's what we are known for. It is our responsibility, like Kenyans and Tanzanians, because you find that even animals cross our borders. There is that moment when wild animals, the beasts, cross over from Kenya to Tanzania because they find natural resources over there. So that means that Kenyan government and Tanzania government should be at peace, and should be friendly to each other, because we shall need their land. We shall need their plantations to feed our animals that are used to stay in this side of the country. Then we also need time, so that we rejuvenate our land, so that when the animals come back, we get to refund our country, because they are a source of income to our country. So the peace okay, what I'm trying to say is that peace and love between countries, neighboring countries, is also a source of mother nature conservation, because you see, we tend to take care of the animals and the climate too. Thank you.
I think the participants, you can use the chat section now, and I will go through them. Okay, let's go to our next discussion, and I will start with Han. How do we address the power imbalance where decisions about African land and ecosystems are still being made in the European boardrooms? And you can start.
Thank you. My laptop is going off, so I'm trying to connect to my phone. I just go haraka haraka. Personally, I feel the only way to address, or maybe one of the ways, because we cannot use a single one, to address power imbalance in decision making is that we just have to demand equitable governance frameworks that can mandate African-led representation in all decision-making levels, starting with conditional partnerships, and conditional and also intentional partnerships. That has to do with localization of funding, because when we localize funding, then we also are working on sustainability, the long-term impact. It's not that something that when we're receiving the aid from the global organizations, after they cut off the funding, you saw what happened with the USAID when Trump just decided to cut off the funding. If the projects or the organization did not have a localized funding source, then that means that the projects are just cut off completely. So we must also have a localization of funding, community land rights enforcement, and also the integration of indigenous knowledge systems into the conservation policy. So this actually has to do with us, and also as Africans, we have to acknowledge the pest that is eating us, that is corruption, because no matter how hard the global organization
I think we have lost her. Timothy, you can go on.
All right, thank you very much. Just to amplify what she has actually said, yeah. For me, I feel equitable funding should be put in place for Africans, and then a roundtable discussion needs to be made available where all Africans need to be part of the key decision makers in those policies. Because of course, you agree with me that the land use act, and of course the land or the resources that the international organizations are making decisions in that European Union where they sit and make decisions. And Africans need to be there to be part of that decision maker. They have to do a policy reform that will not just only benefit only the African, but both the local communities and across all African institutions where the African Union, the ECOWAS, can come together to see what will be of benefit to each and every communities and localities in Africa. And I feel in terms of that, let all decisions be not just only for Africa, but it should be for Africa. It has to be something that involves funding that will not be channeled through the international bodies, like NGO-led funding that must pass through the international bodies, but rather let it be funding that must pass through African-led initiatives that will be so beneficial to all Africans, that will help them to achieve what they need to achieve. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for the points. And next, I will go to Oleku.
Right, power imbalance is there and it will always be there. It's a matter of mastering the art of deal making. We are in the world that is shifting from the strategic approach in world's financing development is shifting from humanitarian development to trade-based development. And everything about trade is like a business. So how are we going to negotiate? How are we going to negotiate in decision-making to secure Africa's financing on nature and development? And so Africa should approach this kind of development with a very strong, united, and bold actions in decision making. Even if the meetings and conferences are going to be held in Europe, whether in America or even in Asia, but where is the African Union? Where is the African group of negotiators? Are we going to Europe as beggars? No, we are going to Europe as people who hold power. We are going to Europe as people who have the resources. We do have the minerals that we can even mobilize and do resource mobilization to even fund our own developments. So we are not going there as beggars. So what I think about power imbalance in decision making is just African leaders to be quite strong and united and bold enough to make very strong decisions and help achieve a better stake in decision making for Africa to secure its finance to carry out the development. And so what I just think is that power imbalance will always be there, but the approach that we are going to make in decision making is the one that determines if we are going to be seen as lesser people, or if we are going to secure very little money to finance our development and everything. And so that is what I think about power imbalance and decision making. It's just a matter of mastering the art of the deal. When conferences are done, everyone is given a chance to defend and make decisions about their continent. So and so this even goes back to things like the African Union. It has been inactive and it has not really done so much for Africa. But when we work together, when African leaders work together, well united and strong, it will help to reap so much for them. And so that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oleku. Yvonne, you can carry on the same.
Well, this is a deeply rooted problem. Decision about African lands, ecosystem, and even conservation funding are still made in the European boardrooms, often without the direct input to on African communities that are most affected. And I think to fix this, we must decolonize environmental governance. I'm glad that we are focusing more about climate today, and I'm in the climate space. So I think we must decolonize environmental governance. And that starts with redistributing power, investing directly in African institutions, because most focus goes to the European institution. That's why they end up making the decisions on behalf of Africans. We also need to require meaningful community consultation for donor-funded projects, because we are doing these projects in these African communities, which we have not even consulted them, so we don't know the actual problem. We are fixing a problem which we are imagining this is a problem, but you're not there to really know and learn the area and know that this is the community, this is the problem that we are fixing. We also, sorry about that. Let me mute my phone. It's Nini. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was saying we require meaningful community consultation for donor projects and value indigenous knowledge, ecological knowledge. We must also change the narrative about that African is a passive recipient of aid. We're just there to receive aids. Our continent is rich of ideas. If you sit down with every youth, with every activist, with every advocate, we have ideas, resilience, and good leadership. We just need to change the narrative and give these people a chance. It's time for conservation models with African, not just for African. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And for the next one, Han, you should start. Okay, as we head to COP30, numerous climate and sustainability policies continue to be developed, yet implementation remains a major challenge. How can we ensure that commitments made at the COPs translate into real on the ground action? And can you give an example where policies were agreed on but failed to be fully implemented? And share what are some of the practical steps that should be taken to flip the script and bridge the gap between policy and practice. Han?
Thank you so much, Millicent. I'm joining from my phone. I hope the audio is okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Personally, I think the high-level commitments like those from COP, they often fall flat because implementation is not resourced. But even if they are resourced, but then they are not localized, like they are just agreed upon at the high places, at the global boardrooms, but then they do not take in the opinions of the local people who they want to benefit from those from those policies. So I think, like, for example, if I have to work with an example, you remember the Glasgow Leaders Declaration on Forests. It was a very ambitious policy. It was very promising, but then even after that was proposed, there are still very high rates of deforestation in Africa, and this is purely due to poor financing and community exclusion. Because if you cannot bring on board the community who are lacking, the community, because when you want to bring change in a local community, you have to hear it from themselves. There's no way you can help someone, but then you have not heard from their own perspective. So I think for the COP, for the policies that are made at the COP or at the global interventions to work, there must be a localized opinion. They must integrate the local voice. And also, to bridge that gap, I believe that there should be stronger accountability mechanisms that are natural tracking dashboards, grassroots budgeting, and policies that are localized and are led by civil society and local governments, not led by the international governments. And just as I said before, it becomes so hard to help someone when you have not put yourself in their shoe. Because people always say, how can you help me when you've not put yourself in my shoe? So by the COP policies being implemented, they have to integrate. And I agree with the other speaker who just talked. They have to agree and bring in the indigenous aspects or the indigenous suggestions to these things, localize it. And when you localize it, the local people own it, because the ownership makes things to be adopted faster and also enhances the long-term sustainability of all these policies or all these promising projects. So I think we should do that, so that there have been so much suggestions of very promising, very ambitious policies, but they still remain to gather dust. And then personally, I believe that until we implement or we integrate, until we integrate the community or the local aspects and opinions, then COP will just continue from COP 30 to COP 31 to COP 32, but then nothing is being achieved at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oleku, you can discuss on the same.
All right. So far so good. COP29 was happened, and a lot of promises were made. Even one of the outcome was the star player in the new collective quantified goal, the NCQG, whereby the world pledged to mobilize at least 300 billion per year to help developing countries tackle climate change and its impact. And so this was one of the things that really brought a lot of noise around it, because Africa itself requires almost 100 billion USD to just address climate change annually. And this was something that was brought after the African group of negotiators given out their pledge that Africa needs to almost 3 trillion USD to address climate change. And so ahead of COP30, we are almost there, and many countries are also working to provide their national determined quantified national determined contributions. Kenya this year submitted their NDCs that include issues to do with just transition and the green economy. And so one question or one big issue that really came out is that our country itself is pledging to grow almost 15 billion trees. I don't want to dwell so much on this, but it's big. It's a big issue because the funding towards the 15 billion is not there, and when you go closely to even hear from the people working at the Kenya Forest Service and these authorities and government agencies that are working on issues to do with environment, forest, and nature, you find that the funding itself to support that 15 billion or to grow the 15 billion trees is not there. And then the government is just like working around, it's just hyping around the non-government organization when they see an NGO that is working on a big project to do with reforestation and environment restoration. They just hype into it, and they make big posts about it. But then they even do not have a very they do not have a budget to grow these trees. And so this is something that needs to be looked into. It is something that raises a lot of concerns, whether these policies that we are just making are being implemented or not. So it needs a lot of mobilizations to a lot of mobilization to address this, a lot of funding to help the government and even the world or Africa itself to address to achieve their NDCs and everything. And so that is it for me. It just need a solid and deliberate budgeting for this to help to transit the just transition pathway. And so ahead of COP30 in Brazil, I'm hoping that the negotiation itself will reap much more better for this for African countries this time, and we just staying positive and anticipating for the better, but we can't stop calling for much more financing towards the issues to do with climate change and just transition. We've just seen countries like the USA withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, the USA is not for their first time to withdraw from the Paris Agreement. It has been they have done it severally, and so it will take the world a lot of time to help to work towards this just transition that we are just talking. And so for nature, it's even so unfair because this is something that needs a very urgent action to address, while other countries are just taking it like a joke. And so that is it for me. It really needs a lot of debates about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Oleku. And Justin, maybe you can touch on the trees since it has been raised here, the issue.
Thank you so
Justin.
much, Millicent, and thank you so much to the guests, Timothy, and Yvonne, and Reku. As GYF, I don't want to come here and promise you we are going to plant 1 million trees, as the government of Kenya says 15 billion, yet again we don't have the budget. So for us, we had a tournament this year to mark the International Day of World Football Day. And from the tournament, we had the promise that for every goal scored, we are going to plant 3 fruit trees. And now from that tournament, it's our time now, since the tournament is done, to go and plant 3 fruit trees. We are going to plant more than 200. It's around 262, if I'm not wrong, fruit trees. And now our urge or our request to you, everyone, anytime we open the window for tree planting, that's fruit trees, kindly register and be part of this movement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin, for that. And we are still discussing the issue on the COP. Yvonne, you can go on.
Oleku actually say everything they need. I'll say, many African government made ambitions to pledge at the past COPs. Also, the first speaker said that COP will be there, we'll be going. We had COP 29, COP 30. We'll just go to COP because we want to go and hear the pledges, but what you are actually doing on the ground is what really matters. I was saying many African governments made ambitions to pledge at the past COPs on reforestation, renewable energy, and even emission reduction. But on the ground, we often see delayed action, poor tracking, or lack of community awareness. For example, that's the 15 billion trees by 2032. 2032. Yes, 2032. Yet implementation lags due to unclear accountability and underfunding. We cannot, someone just said in the chat box that we cannot blame the underfunding because Kenya, we have the capability to. I also want to agree with it, but we have the unclear accountability. We don't know what the government is planning. Like you see, the youths in the climate, in the environment space, the advocates in the environment space, they don't know the clear plan of the government. So it also affects us, you know. And I think to bridge the gap between policy and practice, we need clear timelines, you know. For as much as we have 2032 and we don't have anything being done up to right now, we still have a long way to go. 2032 is just around the corner. Time is moving. We need clear timelines, you know, localized monitoring systems, that we need to have the accountability that we pledged to plant 15 billion trees, and so far we have this and this and this. And civic engagement. I'll emphasize on civic engagement, especially youth-led platforms. We have a lot of environmental conservation platforms, which, if the government really takes it into consideration, we can actually hit the target of the 15 billion trees. So we can't afford to empty declarations anymore. We'll be going to another COP in Brazil and we'll have another declaration, yet we don't know where the progress is. So we need implementation frameworks that link policies to people and hold government and institutions accountable. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. And Emmanuel, you can give us your views on the same.
All right, thank you very much. Just to amplify with what the first, the second, and the third speaker mentioned, I think the implementation gap is one of the is often caused by lack of political will and inadequate funding, just like what we mentioned, from weak institutional capacity and poor accountability mechanism. So it has really, really deepened. And even just like they mentioned in the COP promises and pledges that the government has actually mentioned, just like to take an example of what he mentioned, I think Oleku mentioned about the annual budget for climate finance pledge, which is about $100 billion, which that has never been met fully, and a lot of other countries or countries have not been disbursed to, and that led to a lot of effects that really has affected the community and of course the grassroots too, because that is something that since there's no clear goal and clear accountability structure where government needs to know, or government needs to be held accountable. I feel there's no really legally binding mechanism that is holding government accountable to what they are doing. There's no clear transparency and accountability policy where government needs to know at every point in time, no monitoring system where progress has been done in each of those communities or grassroots, and that is something that that we as a body we need to look at and see how we can implement that, and which that has never been done over time. Localization and channels of funding to the grassroots project has never been tracked. There's no really adequate track record of how those channels of funding are being used or utilized. And lastly, I think for that to make it more powerful and that level of accountability should be achieved, I think that multi-stakeholder partnership needs to be involved, where other countries and stakeholders can be involved to see how channels of funding are being used and is it actually utilized for that purpose that it's meant for. So I think that with that will give a kind of co-create and co-create and co-deliver solutions for us as we keep uh, heading towards COP 32. Yeah, 2032. So I think it's a good thing for us to really leverage on all those policies, but then how accountable are the government? How accountable are the funds being spent? And how accountable are the funds being deployed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. In just a minute for each guest speaker, I will start with Yvonne. If you were the environment minister, what bold actions would you take to fight poverty without harming environmental sustainability?
Sorry, I was talking yet I had not unmuted myself. So if I was the environmental minister, I think I'll anchor every policy on the principle that environmental sustainability and social justice must go hand in hand. I'd champion community-owned renewable energy to reduce poverty while cutting emission. We are solving two things at the same time. I'd require that any foreign-led conservation or development project have a local equity component, either through shared governance, employment, or revenue sharing models. And also legislate the protection of community lands, forests, and water from exploitive extraction. Environmental sustainability must not mean exclusion. It must uplift people while protecting the nature. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Han?
Thank you so much, Millicent. What I would have done if I were the Minister of Environment, which hopefully I will be in the near future, something I could institute a green equity bill that would ensure that all environmental and developmental projects allocate at least 30% of resources to community-led conservation. I'm someone who is so deep in community. Everything that I say, everything that I'm talking about, rooted in community, because I believe that is, they will say charity begins at home. So the moment we started at the community level, on its way up to the global stage, then that can work for me. I think now coming up with that green equity bill that ensures that at least 30% of resources are allocated to community-led conservation, that would at least bring a change that also does not harm the environment while also fighting poverty. Because to fight poverty, we need resources, we need jobs. And also by doing that, by allocating such to community, we are creating jobs. We are creating green jobs, which are sustainable and also environmental friendly. Another thing, I would enforce a foreign environmental accountability tax that invests in youth-led green enterprises and create jobs without degrading the ecosystems. So just to summarize what I've said on the green equity bill, whereby every policy that is brought, or every bill, it allocates at least 30% of its resources to community-led conservation, and also a tax on the foreign environmental accountability, so that at least even if it comes from a global stage, it has to leave an impact that is sustainable on the local community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Han. Oleku?
Well, if I were the Minister of Environment, which I hope I will be, could be, or maybe much more bigger position than that. Well, what I will do is that I will always prioritize communities and people-centered approach in nature conservation and environmental protection. This means I will ensure that land itself and soils are made are actually protected to ensure that the land health is there. So healthy lands provide enhances restoration of and biodiversity conservation, and healthy lands will also lead to production of good good production for agriculture. And so what I believe is that prioritizing the land health in nature conservation will always reap the best to help communities continue to thrive in terms of food poverty. And so to address poverty, you need to enable people economically, because we all need money everywhere. So enabling and protecting these lands to ensure that it will be able to help communities gain something out of it is something that will help in a long run for sustainability purposes. and address the poverty levels within our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oleg, for that. Timothy?
All right. Thank you very much. As the Minister of Environment, what I will do, I will try and champion the green inclusive development of sustainable and integrate community ownership uh, of the conservation of lands, where I will see I will leverage on the platform where agricultural programs I will solely and deeply invest in climate smart agriculture, where to improve food security and create jobs and restore ecosystem of where most farmers and of course local community stakeholders have not just only be a stakeholder, but they should have the right to hold every available resources within their local communities, and how we can champion to see where a lot of support can come for both women and youth to renewable energy, waste management, and of course reforestation in industries too, where we can see how we can mobilize resources nationally for green funds and set up that kind of local financing for innovation and of course conservation of entrepreneurship, in the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Since we are coming to the end of the session, let me invite Justin to talk about our upcoming event.
Thank you, Millicent, once again. At this point, allow me to register my special appreciation to our guest and moderator today. I have good news for you, team. As you all know, the International Day for Youth is around the corner, and GYF has prepared something great for you. Having listened to each and every guest who was here today, one of the sentiments I heard from everyone is that African problems need African solutions. And now, to get the solutions, we have to come up as youths and see how can we really resolve these challenges as Africans we are facing. No one is coming from Europe, no one is coming from Asia to come and help us African. So we have organized the SDG Impact Project. This is the African youths, the African readers, and everyone in Africa coming up with a project which is locally owned by the community and doing a presentation on the 12th of August. I could kindly request you or urge you all to follow our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter or X platforms and see what's going on as we prepare for the International Youth Day. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Justin. And maybe let's do a call to action to maybe a person who is working on the SDG you have chosen to focus on, and also based on the topic of the day. I will start with Emmanuel. Just like a sentence of a parting shot.
All right, thank you very much. For me, just like I mentioned, I'm closely working with SDG1, no poverty. You agree with me that partnership and land partnership here, conservation can never be done without smart agriculture, land use. For me, I feel it is very important that um, all local communities should tap into the land use act, where it will favor all farmers across across Africa, where we can diversify and see how we can improve on the quality of products that we produce, and see how we can trade internationally to increase our foreign exchange that will bring impact deeply on our gross domestic product in terms of what we actually trade with other international bodies. So I feel for me, a parting shot is let us see how we can conserve the mother nature and utilize them for the purpose of increasing financing for African communities and for ourselves, Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Oleku, you can give us your call to action.
Mine is just let's strengthen existing partnership and foster new ones across sectors, while prioritizing environment and nature in our minds. Nature do not have a mouth to call for to protect itself from the harm that it receives from the ordinary human beings. And so we need to be so much people who are so kind to nature, because it's the one that is protecting us. It's our mother. It's like our mother. And so let's be so kind to it, and to always have in mind that children and youths for the future generations will also want to experience what we are experiencing. And the best way to help in sustainability is to protect the current the nature itself right now for the benefit of the future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oleku. Han?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheboy, and thank you for the previous speakers. I think all of us, we are on the same page that we have to do something. And in as much as we are also fighting to have our own identity as Africans that is far beyond the global boards, but then we have to have a localized voice. So I just want to encourage everyone that is working on climate and environmental justice that we should never underestimate the power of collective partnerships to protect Mother Earth, and protective partnerships that also involves local action. And also we have to note that sustainable change does not begin in the global plenaries, just as I said before. It begins in the soil, in our own villages. And it also has to include listening to our own people, because local voices must no longer be an afterthought. They have to lead, and having to lead in every decision, or in every, if we are talking about policy, it has to inform every step in that policy development. So it's just a call to action to everyone that they always say there's an adage that goes, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go further, go with someone or go as a team. And now also on the fact that today we're talking about partnerships, we are doing several projects here, but then when we join hands together, we can achieve far much more in protecting Mother Earth through partnerships. And also we are able to get greater impact when we are doing it together than when you're doing it alone. So yeah, go out there and do amazing things, no matter how small it is. Just as Wangari Maathai said, be your own little hummingbird. Do that good thing to save Mother Earth in your own little way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Han. Yvonne, you can give us your parting shot.
Well, thank you for the invitation and to the Global Youth Forum for whatever you're doing. I was to ask, and we are talking about partnership, but we are not we're not deciding that we're going to talk to the group and decide, because we're also having a project with Youth Collaborative and goals. But we'll talk about that in the group maybe. My parting shot will be to anyone working in 13. I'll go with keep your work rooted in the realities of our community. Listen to the people closest to the crisis. We are solving this, but we have to listen to those who are affected. Listen to build alliances that go beyond hashtags. And remember, lasting impact does not come from working alone. As everyone has said, partnership, I'll still emphasize on it. Lasting impact does not come from working alone, but from moving together. Climate justice is not a fight, it's a shared journey, and every voice matters in building a future where both people and planet thrive. And to everyone working in different SDGs, we are not powerless. Whether you are a student, a grassroots organizer, or a policymaker, you have a role in protecting the mother nature, but we must move from siloed efforts to unified movements. Collaboration across sectors and borders is the key, but so is ensuring that those closest to the crisis are closest to the solution. Let's bring these people in board. Let's go to those villages and know what's the real crisis. Let's build a sustainable Afrocentric solution that serves both people and the planet, and let's do it together. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thanks to each and every person who has attended today's session. And next month, we have a session on intergenerational collaboration towards hunger eradication in Africa through quality education. Maybe my team will share the link on the chat section. If you want to be a speaker, you can register, and we are going to consider you as a team. Or you can scan the code as well. And for the speakers, maybe you can turn on your cameras for the last time. We can take a picture. Yeah. Oleku and Han, kindly. Yeah. My team, you can take the
We could do everyone, probably everyone who turned up for this call. Don't be biased, Millicent. Anyway, yes, thank you. So I will do screen one. So shortly, just give me a second, my friends.
Okay.
There is one I have to search. Just a quick one, rather than us just listening, because I know we are live, my friend. And you guys have been talking nicely. Millicent, sorry to interrupt. I know Arakiza have been there. Arakiza, were you impressed by the guests or you are annoyed? So you can give us your 30 seconds and just give a feedback to our guests because you are listening keenly, either Anne, Yvonne, or Timothy or Millicent. Give us your parting shot as the receiving person. I think you are in the community here. So dive in.
All right. Thank you very, very much. For this very wonderful time for voices. Yeah, the environment. So as we gather, we need to understand, and that planet Earth we have by polluting it or
Millicent,
releasing any harmful substance to it restored. I mean,
there we go.
It may not.
Okay. Arakiza, your internet is bad. We will come to you next time, but at least you tried to give the guests like really, really good picture there. I appreciate you. So thank you for representing the community they were speaking about.
To that very point of sustainability. And
all right. Okay. Technology is behaving here.
We advocate for it, and it is very necessary. But
Caleb, your internet is bad, so we'll give you a chance next time, but no worries. So if you are on there now, let us go for our group photo. I think Millicent will like this for her summaries. So you guys turn on your cameras and then let's have it. Yvonne, we will be speaking to you about your sports initiative. I was listening keenly behind the scenes, so I'm curious. Oleko, I know we'll catch up with you to chew our bond. So yeah, Arnold and maybe James, are you guys turning yours on? If not, 1, 2, and then 3. I got it. Well done, my friend. And I must say that was a good session, and I look forward to having you again very soon. Do take care.